little bit late getting started here. Wow, that didn't go so well. So just checking I got all my audio going. Yep, I got my audio going. Hey there. This is a kind of bit of an odd one for me, sort of live, sort of pre-recorded, a bit of everything really. So yeah, let's see how this goes. The idea was that, I should take off my sunnies. It's kind of not so dark in here. Is that since I was at the Smart Energy Expo all last week, well, actually it was on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, but we had to set up. We had a booth there, Solar Plus, and I was making interviews and videos for the whole time. In fact, I think I made 20 videos while I was there. I thought I'd share them with everyone. So, kind of take you to the conference in case you didn't get to go. Not all of them, just a selection, to give you a bit of a taste of what was on show at the conference and what was interesting. And I might make a few comments as we go. So I've got my chat window up here. I can see your messages coming in. So if this is all coming through smoothly, you can hear me okay, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that it's all working for you. That would be great. And let's get into it. So what happened at the conference? Well, COVID threatened to shut down the whole thing. It was a bit dramatic, actually. I think the organisers, particularly John Grimes from the Smart Energy Council, was probably lost a couple of kilos just when he heard the news, because it takes a whole year of organising to get a conference into place, and all of the exhibitors there all ready to go, and then suddenly there's a case in Sydney, and New South Wales government, rightly announces that's a restrictions, and everyone was wondering whether you would even be able to be indoors together, which we were. It was kind of a bit awkward at first, finding out what the rules were going to be, but it became clear by Monday that we could actually go ahead with a conference, that you didn't have to wear masks in the conference venue, but anyone providing service like food outlets, etc., needed to wear a mask. And if you were drinking alcohol, you had to sit down. You couldn't wander around with a bottle, so you had to be served at a table. So it made some of the social stuff a little bit different. But if you were drinking outdoors, it was okay. So there was this awesome Cutter event organised by the Cutters with some support from Solar Analytics and Clenergy, and they had this really fun gig out on the deck at the Maritime Museum on the Tuesday night, and yeah, that really went off. So we all abandoned sitting indoors at the table with our drinks and went out onto the deck and partied till we were kicked out. So that was kind of fun. So it was great to be back with the industry face to face. I mean, I've myself have been sort of locked away here in my studio, making content like this every Sunday, and it's kind of interesting, but I miss that direct contact with the rest of the industry and learning about stuff. So we had a really big catch up, and I think there was a great sense of relief that the conference went ahead. So well done, Smart Energy Council, for organising this. In fact, I believe it's the biggest energy conference in the world this year. That's right. That's how hard it's been to hold a conference. So well done, Smart Energy Council. Anyway, so let me show you what we're going to do. I'm going to play a couple of short, like 3 to 5 minute interviews with some of the exhibitors and stream that to you. And then after each one, I might just add a few comments. And I'd love to have some feedback from the audience out there. So just let me know that it's all going okay. Give us a thumbs up if that's possible, a like, subscribe, all the usual good stuff. But if you type something into the comments field, I can see it on my screen and I can respond to it too. So feel free just to ask some questions while we're going live. Anyway, so let's start the first one. Now, the first one is actually, it features, here we go, just cutting over. It actually features Jack Longy Long, who did a bit of a photo bomb on this one. So here we go, Catch Power. Okie dokie, looks like we've got our first little problem. Thanks, Joshua, for letting me know that you can't hear anything. Okie dokie, looks like we've got our first little problem. Thanks, Joshua, for letting me know that you... So the streaming doesn't actually play the audio. So let me just work that one out for me. I'll just cut back to me. So this is why it's great. Thanks, Scott. Hey, there's Scott on screen and there's Scott on Facebook. Thanks for letting me know. By the way, I actually uploaded all of these videos to my YouTube channels. Quite a few of them are on my Facebook channel as well. But if you're, if this session doesn't go well, if I don't get the audio working, you can actually watch them on my YouTube channel, which is Smart Energy Lab. So if you're in YouTube land and you search for Smart Energy Lab, you'll see that I've uploaded about a dozen videos actually, and they're all in 4K, so up to 4K anyway. I think I've done 20 interviews. Yeah, I have. I've done 20 interviews and I'll be uploading the rest of them over the next day or so. But I really want to get the audio working on this one. So let me just have another go. Oh, I know what I did. I forgot to press the audio on button. Let me know if this works.
Of those things, if that's what is needed at the site.
So looking at this unit here, this is the one that has the power diverter in it, which can proportionally divert surplus solar.
Correct.
Well, we're here at the Smart Energy Expo 2021 with Scott from Catch Power, and I've known Catch Power for a while. So Scott, this product's evolved quite a bit from the early days.
Certainly has. We're happy to have it in the market, and we're getting new interest all the time.
So there was the blue Catch, the green Catch, and this one is the
Catch Solar Relay. Catch Solar Relay. So this is, we've really conquered hot water, and now we want to broaden our horizons and look for all other loads to control and put as much under the solar production curve as possible.
For those who don't know what a Catch is, or a Catch Power device is, can you give a real simple explanation?
Yeah, so Catch, green Catch is where we started, or blue Catch is where we started, so that's hot water diversion. So we're using surplus solar to heat electric hot water. Then we've developed the Catch Solar Relay to do all the other loads. So we can trigger a load to come on based on solar production, on voltage, frequency, and time, and a combination of those things if that's what is needed at the site.
So looking at this unit here, this is the one that has the power diverter in it, which can proportionally divert surplus solar.
Correct.
Which is a real feature that you want, which is you don't want just to dump your whole solar onto your hot water system unless you have a massive system and it's sunny. This has got the smarts to know, is there a surplus solar, and can we send it to somewhere useful, like the biggest battery you already own called your hot water tank?
Correct. Yes, that's right. So all this, even the smallest amounts of solar that would be exported to the grid, we can put that into the tank incrementally. Yes.
And I realised when I read the spec on this, there's a lot more smarts than it looks. It actually learns how you use energy.
That's right, yeah. So there's an algorithm on board to do that balancing act between preferring to use your surplus solar, but making sure you don't run out of hot water if the weather isn't there to divert the surplus solar.
Yeah, so you've got the best of both worlds. You've got a hot shower and you've got the cheapest hot shower.
Correct.
So,
relay.
Programmable relay. What sort of current ratings would you get on this?
So the device doesn't really have a current rating. It's 4 amps, but that's not really to do a load. You always marry it with a contactor of the size of load that you're trying to drive.
Right, now that's a perfect solution. So this has got comms going to it, or metering?
Correct. So the interface for programming it is Bluetooth.
Yep.
So you program it through a Bluetooth smartphone app, and we also have an RS485 connectivity.
Right, and that's connecting to what, power conditioning equipment or inverters, or?
To the inverter.
So, the inverter?
Yes, so the device has the dual function of being load control, but for a range of different inverter brands, we can also perform the role of inverter control. So it will be the energy meter.
Oh, that sounds really good. I run a small microgrid, and it's all about managing surplus generation, because I can't send it to any other one's grid. I've only got the one. Yes. So I've got to think of ways of using it or losing it all the time. So this sounds like a great solution, both on-grid and off-grid.
can be off-grid. Some guys have used it already. Some of the guys in the industry have used it already to trigger on frequency. There are inverters out there that use frequency signal to control the delivery of power, and so they use that same signal to turn their hot water on.
Well, that's me. So I use frequency to control my microgrid, and the Cellectronic system that runs my microgrid uses a frequency shift to indicate the surplus generation. So this would then respond to that and turn something on.
Correct.
That's perfect. Cool. Well, thanks very much, Scott.
Thanks for the opportunity, Glenn. It's been a great show.
No worries.
Well, thanks, Scott, and it's always good to see you at these shows and your little tiny devices that can do so much. It's pretty impressive how you can use something the size of a cigarette packet and it diverts kilowatts, many kilowatts of energy into a hot water service. Really, for those who don't know what diverters are, they're basically like a variable power device that can take surplus energy and send it to heat water. So great solution to those who've got a bigger system than their loads will consume, and now they've added the catch relay, so that allows it to switch stuff as well. Now I'm really excited by some of the features of the catch relay that Scott told me about, particularly the fact that it does frequency triggering. Now you might not know what this is, but if you're off-grid and you're using an off-grid AC system that uses frequency controlled power regulation, so i.e. as your generation exceeds your battery's needs, the frequency slightly lifted on the on your battery inverter, and that ramps down your solar inverter. But it sounds like this relay will do the opposite, which is actually rather than ramping down your solar, start to turn on a load, or turn on a load that can soak up that surplus. So that's pretty cool. Now, there was some really amazing stuff at this show, and one of them which kind of blew my mind is a thing from a company, well, things from a company called Pixie. Now, it sounds kind of cute, doesn't it, Pixie? But Pixie is a product. It's actually a sort of an inverter. It's really rather mind-bending thing, and it can do more than just invert. It can also be used for as an MPPT, and it's scalable, so it can go from something as small as 3.3 kilowatt inverter up to a massive megawatt scale system. So let me just bring Pixie up on the screen for you, and let's see if I can get it to play.
Well, here we are at the Smart Energy Expo 2021 at the Pixie stand. I'm here with Neil in front of this beast of a machine. So, Neil, what is this?
Well, Glenn, this is a battery energy storage system. It's a modular, scalable system. It comprises of inverter technology, bidirectional inverter technology in a modular format. 3.3 kilowatt modules that we can scale in this system up to 30 kilowatts of power, and in this particular cabinet we're using the LG Chem 6.5 kilowatt hour NMC batteries, and we can fit 65 kilowatt hours of batteries into the cabinet with 30 kilowatts of power conversion. Bidirectional, AS4777 certified. Recently we've been through a bit of a process with that, but yeah, the system's now tested and approved for sale in Australia. So we're very thrilled and excited about the opportunities, and the show's been fantastic. We've had a lot of interest from different segments of the marketplace, particularly the commercial, industrial, solar type applications. So yeah, we're very excited to be here in Australia.
So, Ian,
Neil,
tell me a bit about Pixie. I know a little bit about Pixie.
Okay, so Pixie is a Norwegian company incorporated in Oslo in 2016. It came from the R&D team from another power electronics company, Eltec Power Systems, which was founded in Norway in the mid-70s. And about 4 or 5 years ago, it was sold off to a Taiwanese Taiwanese company, Delta Power Systems. That left the R&D team, the executive management team, the major shareholders, kind of high and dry in Norway. And they'd been working on technology, this bidirectional rectifier technology, for the last few years of their time with Eltec, and they kind of continued that on with under the new name of Pixie.
Right.
So the company's fairly new. Experience in the organization, goes back 25, 30 years. So we've got a lot of experience in power electronics and power conversion, and we're entering into a new market. Historically, the products that we designed and manufactured were for the telecommunications market, whereas the Pixie system is more designed for the renewables, the utilities, electric vehicles, support electric vehicle charging, those sorts of applications.
So not all our viewers will know what a bidirectional inverter is. How does that work?
Okay, so the base module is a 3.3 kilowatt rectifier. So it's converting AC to DC, but the Pixie module can work in the opposite direction as well. So it can convert the DC power back to AC power. So it's kind of like a rectifier system, but it works in both directions. So it rectifies AC to DC and then inverts DC power back to AC.
So I imagine for telco applications it would be a standalone product, like a UPS system as backup for when a grid fails, but you can also support the grid now.
Correct, that's right. So in a telco application, typically they're using rectification to provide power in the event of a power failure to their telecommunications loads. This system will work in that scenario perfectly well as a rectifier system, but it gives the telcos the opportunity to use their lazy asset, which is the batteries, to perhaps provide arbitrage services back to the utilities. Like in a VPP type environment, they could be providing FCAS or grid support type services across the number of sites that they've got in their network.
That's really clever because UPS systems are a once in a year, they're sitting there doing nothing.
That's right.
Not earning anything.
That's right.
Just a dead asset basically. So a lazy asset. That's a great application. Now,
is.
I mean, by the scale of this is probably an industrial application. Is that what you're seeing? Is it all commercial industrial?
Well, because the module itself is 3.3 kilowatt. This is kind of a commercial type of industrial scale, 30 kilowatts. But the module itself is a single phase 3.3 kilowatt module, so we can scale it down. The power rack at the top here, where you see the modules, each RU of space will give us 10 kilowatts of power, and we can scale the system down to even domestic type applications. So we're currently working on some system configurations that will work for battery energy storage for home. The module itself is also software configurable, so we can make it into an MPPT module at the same time. So we can have both an MPPT module and a battery inverter in the same system using the same module, but it's software configurable.
My gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and that would then give us a 48 volt DC coupled hybrid system that we can scale from 3.3 kilowatts, but let's say we're in a domestic application, it might be 10 kilowatts of battery energy storage, it might be 10 kilowatts of MPPT from the roof of your building, and then we can scale that upwards to 50 kilowatts in a system like this, for instance, and then we can master slave those systems up to a megawatt or more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm just getting my head around this. Taking a 3.3 kilowatt module and building to any scale, single or three phase,
Correct.
as both a rectifier, an inverter, and an MPPT.
Yes.
All in the one product.
Correct.
And then you've got the Pixie module, which is like the smarts behind it, for it to do other things like VPP, or is Pixie module?
The Pixie gateway, is the control module.
Yep.
The rectification and inverter module is over there. If you'd like me to show you the actual product.
Yeah, we'll have a closer look at that in a minute.
In a second, okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but it is, yes, it's a fully software definable module that has multifunctional.
Yeah.
It's multifunctional.
Great. Well, thanks, Neil.
That's okay.
It's been really interesting looking at this and actually seeing the scale of this product in the flesh. Yeah, it's
Fantastic.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to share it with you.
Great, thanks.
Good.
So this is the actual Pixie box. This is where the power conversion happens.
That's right, Glenn. This is the Pixie module. It's a very compact, high watts per cubic inch module, 3.3 kilowatt module, which, as I mentioned before, has all the functionality and is software configurable into several different modes.
Can I feel it?
Yeah, sure.
That's 3.3 kilowatts.
Correct.
God, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
Oh, well, I'm glad you like it.
How heavy is this?
Heavy?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that would be, what, a kilogram or maybe 1.5 kilograms?
Right, 1.5 kilograms, 3.3 kilowatts, and they go into an RU rack system like this, and there's a termination block at the back.
There's a termination block at the back for both the AC and the DC, or if it's in the MPPT mode, it would be the DC and the DC, the 48 volts and the 450 volts from your solar panels, or the 240 volts from the mains and your 48 volts out to the batteries.
So would it be possible, for instance, a customer specs 3 units and then
Yes.
they actually say, that's not enough, I need more. Can you just add more?
Oh yes, of course. That's the whole principle. It's a scalable system, so that you can size a system to what you think you might need in the future, and then you can simply add modules as you grow. If you want to include more battery energy storage, you can add more batteries, and you can add more modules to give you the extra capacity. If you wanted to start off with batteries and add solar modules later, you could add the solar modules later in the piece.
Gosh, you can virtually do anything. So you can start off with, actually it's a backup system, it's pure UPS. Then you go, well actually we want to do a bit of arbitrage, and so we're going to use the smarts that control this to be able to export on demand.
Yes.
Particularly with the 5-minute settlement coming, that's going to be
right, yes.
going to be an interesting time. And then you go, well actually renewables are where the big cost savings are as well, so why don't we add some solar to this?
And demand charge reduction, all that sort of stuff kicks in as well.
All with the same piece of hardware.
Correct. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite innovative and it's quite different to what's in the marketplace at the moment. So it's it's very exciting. We're getting a lot of interest.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a computer geek, and this just so reminds me of hot swappable drives.
Yes.
Are they hot swappable?
Of course, yes.
You're kidding.
So
With power on.
the systems can be working 24/7. But if you need to change a module for whatever reason, or you need to add a module, you can simply unclick the switch and unclick the connection and pull it out.
While it's on?
While it's on.
Wow. Okay, so ultimate redundancy. We don't have to shut down the whole centre because one power module is not working to its full potential, or you need to add more.
That's right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Neil.
No problem. Nice.
Wow. What do you reckon about that? I think the name Pixie is probably because it's a little bit magical. What do you reckon about that? Oops, I had the echo turned on. But I was really blown away by the Pixie system. The fact that it's 1.5 kilos, 3.3 kilowatts, modular, AC-DC converter, DC-DC converter. So it can do basically all the things we need between inverters, maximum power point trackers, UPS systems, and you can scale it from 1 upwards. It can be single phase, 3-phase. You can have hundreds of them to be megawatt scale. You can add them as you go. You can even swap them out when they're operating. It's just an incredible design. So I guess we might see more of Pixie. It's a new player in the Australian market, and I think they're going to go places. So next up from the show is solar analytics. Now, solar analytics have been around for about a decade or so, started by some very smart people. I believe they've got an awful lot of PhDs working for them, because what they do is analyze data, particularly data from energy, both consumption and generation. And it sounds a bit boring and dull, but actually it's fascinating what you can get from data. Just think of Google, what Google does with your data when you start sending emails, searching web pages, talking to your Google smart speaker. That's all data. Now, equally with solar generation and loads being measured by basically data acquisition tools that Solar Analytics supply, they can do some pretty incredible things. So I'm just going to hand over to the next one, which is Solar Analytics. So here we go. Nope, that didn't work. Hang on. I've got to press so many buttons to get this thing to work. Here we go. This time.
Well, we're here at Smart Energy Expo 2021 at the Solar Analytics stand, and I'm talking to Suji about some products they got here. So Suji, I'm standing in front of a whole lot of stuff. What's going on here?
So we're looking at our Tower of Power, which obviously has lots of devices on there. We are a software company, but in order to get software to our solar owners, which is who we're trying to service, we have meters that go into switchboards that read all the measurements you want and turn that data into information.
So basically this is data acquisition equipment that you put the smarts onto that and do clever things.
Exactly.
Right, hence the analytics in your name.
Exactly. We have a team of very smart people. The amount of PhDs in our organisation are too much to count, but yes, we have really complex algorithms that do things that no one else in the industry is doing.
I guess a bit like Google. They're not just there to find stuff.
Yes, that's right. There's a whole bit behind. So, what we like to say is that other monitoring platforms, including inverter monitoring, they'll tell you what your system is doing, but we will tell you what your system should be doing.
Yeah. In the early days of solar analytics, I remember Nigel Morris saying that he got a call because he was a customer.
Yes.
And he said, we think you have a tree growing up over the east side of your house. And he goes, how can you tell that? From photos from space? But it was from analytics, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. And that's what we find really interesting, because obviously, there's critical failure, and most systems will tell you if there's a critical failure, but there's a whole range between a perfectly working system and critical failure. And so our algorithms are, because we have such specific site system data, we pull in satellite weather data, it's all very complex, lots of inputs. We can tell what a system should be producing on any given day in any location in Australia. So we know when there are slight underperforming issues, and those are often missed by by inverters. And so, and those little slight underperforming issues can actually mean real dollars. So that's what we think we do really well, and we give customers the confidence that their system is working at a glance.
So on top of the monitoring and economics, are there other features that you can do with the analytics?
Yeah, there's tons we can do. So because we have really specific site data, most customers, they're buying solar because they want to save money, right? So they don't actually really care about energy. So looking at how much energy they're drawing from their solar is not really useful to them. So we turn that into actual dollar amounts, and people can see on a day, on a week, on a month, however they want to look at it, exactly what they've saved. We're about to launch a new tariff switching feature as well, which, again, there are lots of websites where you can compare tariffs, but that's very general. What we're going to do is say, well, these are the tariffs, but now that we know how you use your energy, when you use your energy, do you actually export? Do you draw from the grid at off-peak or during peak times? We can actually tell you which tariff will actually be the best for you specifically.
So tariff switching, I didn't know that was a thing. I knew some retailers give you an app and that you can manually, sit there all day watching the price of electricity and go, oh, I think I'll buy now. No, I'll charge my battery now. You can just put smarts on that.
Exactly. So we've started it at the moment. Our customers can see that they can upload their bills. That's our first step. But I would say in Q3, you'll see this awesome new feature.
Oh, so they upload the bill and you can see what their tariffs are and then find better solutions for them?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's really an evolving market, certainly when you've got the 5-minute settlement coming in August. So the CNI market's going to be interesting too.
Yeah, most definitely. And our systems, we've got more on residential systems, but obviously they also work very well on commercial systems. And we know that our installer network finds, because we've got 4G capability in that commercial space, much easier to install systems with LGC metering, all that sort of stuff.
So you can monitor single phase, 3-phase, loads, generation. I see you got
sub-circuits,
some Rogalski coils, so you can do some really big stuff.
Really big stuff.
Okay,
exactly.
All right, you've got it all covered.
Yes.
Now the software, where it's really all happening, it's where all the PhDs hang out.
Yes.
is accessible through a web browser, through a tablet.
All of the above. Yes, that's right. So obviously through a laptop PC, but also there's a phone app, a tablet. You can see the tablet down here. Yes, and you get all the same information. And again, what we really try and stress is that we're not giving people data, we're giving them information. There are insights in there. We're really trying to make that a really personal experience.
Cool. Well, thanks, Suji.
Thank you.
Okay. Done. Great. You're good. Really.
Well, yep, Solar Analytics, they do some clever stuff, all right. So a few people were sort of commenting about audio, but I think we've got it sorted now. I hope that's all running smooth. And like I said, if you missed the live stream, you can actually catch all of these videos on my YouTube channel. Just search for Smart Energy Lab, and there'll be lots more. So I'll be uploading about, 20 or so videos from the conference that I made interviewing people. So next up is a bit of a hometown favourite. Power Plus Energy. For those who have not heard of Power Plus Energy, they're a Melbourne manufacturer of lithium-ion batteries. Power Plus have been around for quite a few years, 3 or 4 years now, and they've grown from one, Bradley Patton, to last count last week, 46 staff, and probably another one by now. They're just going through an enormous growth phase. Started in a Canards 1.5 square metre storage unit 5 years ago. Now they've got basically taken over the old Siemens factory in Melbourne, and probably they'll be taking over a suburb at the rate they're going. So Power Plus Energy, they make lithium-ion batteries, and they do some pretty interesting stuff as well. So they're looking at coming up with lots of solutions, both on-grid and off-grid, for lithium-ion batteries with various different integrations of inverters. So let's see how I go with this one, see if I can do a smooth transition. Well, here we are on the second day of the Smart Energy Expo 2021 at Darling Harbour, Sydney, and I'm here with my good friend Bradley. Hey, Bradley from Power Plus Energy.
Greetings, Mr. Morris.
Good. Now, Bradley, how's it going?
We had a fantastic year last year, and this year seems to be doing just as well, if not better. We're quite surprised. We thought things might slow down a bit after COVID had eased off, but no, we're having a really good year.
You seem to be growing. Every time I talk to you, say, I've just hired another engineer, another sales manager, not another BDM, you still got the same one.
Yes. Yeah, they've all kept their jobs.
Yeah. Well, so there's a lot of staff growth going on.
Yes, no, we've just hired 2 more engineers this week. So we're investing in the future, making sure that we stay relevant, that we offer the features that our customers want. So yeah, having fun.
I think that's kind of part of the secret of your success is it's not just Australian made, Australian designed.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do everything in-house.
Yeah.
So even our new BMS boards are manufactured here in Australia.
Right. And I know them well because I've got them at the Smart Energy Lab, the Tower of Power. Actually, my Tower of Power is slightly taller than that one.
It is, yes. You have the big model.
The big model. Yeah, so let's run through some of the battery models you've got.
Well, we have started out and still carry all of our 24 volt, 48 volt and 120 volt in our Life series. We've complemented that with the Eco battery, which is sort of offering a battery at the same sort of price point and warranty conditions as most of the batteries on the market. And we have the 120 volt, which is our new digital BMS board. And in the coming months, we'll also be releasing the 48 volt in the Life and the Eco using the digital BMS board.
Now, you say digital BMS. What does that mean?
Our philosophy as a company was ease of use, ease of install, ease of maintenance, and so we're still going to, the digital BMS board will still operate the same as the analog, however it'll provide information. So to provide better customer support, you'll be able to see how the actual strings are performing in the battery, temperatures inside the battery, the condition of the BMS, and so it allows us to be proactive in support rather than reactive.
Right, so it's still a self-managed battery though?
Oh yes.
That meaning that it will integrate with anything with the same voltage range?
Yes.
But you've now got that ability of communication with all the battery modules?
Just with remote support, having information makes it a lot easier to understand what the customer needs or what the problems might be. And so it just improves the customer experience.
I can tell you it's quite handy, me being here in Sydney and my batteries being back in Melbourne. I drop into the monitoring platform and
Yes.
I can see, why has the generator been running all night? You know, I can see there's been a problem with the management of my system, not the batteries, but you know, the smarts behind that, the inverter system. I can see that from here in Sydney. I can see every single battery module as well. And I believe you can even control them remotely if you have an issue.
We can potentially tweak things remotely, but that's not something we generally do because it's more about having the inverter settings correct rather than the battery modules themselves. But if there is an emergency, then we can support the customer.
Yeah. So the letters PS on the end, what's that mean?
The P is for parallel connection,
Yep.
S is for smart.
Oh, okay.
Very simple.
Now you say parallel, so 48 volt battery or nominal 52 point something,
Yes.
51.7, whatever
Yes.
it is. Are you doing series batteries?
Yes, for the last 18 months we've had some 512 volt, like 10 batteries in series. In a couple of commercial sites, and so we're just getting all of the documentation, all the testing done for that, so that we can later this year we can release that. It'll give you the option to go from 2 batteries up to potentially 16 batteries
In series?
in series.
Wow, okay, so definitely in the C&I space at those kind of voltage
Almost
levels?
definitely, yes.
Right. So these cabinet solutions are great for, C&I or larger off-grid systems, but do you have solutions for someone who's just got a garage and they want a small system?
We've got a range of cabinets at the moment that allow for mounting on the side of the house or in a garage, and we've got a few new ones coming as we get feedback from the industry. So starting typically at about 300 mil deep, you can put up to 3 batteries in those. Then we have a 4 battery version up to a 9 battery version.
Right.
And we're also actually doing some prototyping on some skid-based systems so that they can just be dropped on site or put alongside the generator. But it'll allow the installer, they can add their Selectronic inverter or Victron or Schneider SMA inverters all pre-wired in the box.
You could just about rattle off all of the off-grid inverters for a start.
Yes.
Because you're a self-managed battery.
Yes.
Yeah, for those who are not familiar with self-managed is, how do you explain it?
Because a lot of lithium technologies take advantage of things like energy density and quite often there's a price advantage attached. Generally, the trade-off is that they're less tolerant to high temperatures or higher discharge rates, and so the BMS has to, via a communication cable, typically CAN bus, the BMS will need to talk to the inverter to say, look, this is how much power you can have, or you need to back off a bit. We use lithium ferrophosphate, we use lithium cylindrical cells. The disadvantage is it's a slightly lower energy density than your cobalt-based lithiums. The advantage is it's more temperature tolerant. So with our BMS board, we don't need to control what the inverter is doing. So the inverter can be used the same way you would with lead-acid batteries, and the BMS is there to stop you from extremes, over temperature, short circuit, over current, and low voltage. And so it allows the inverter to do what it does best. Our batteries are just sitting there supplying the watts, so we don't need the control cable for our battery to tell the inverter what to do.
So you might sacrifice a little bit on peak performance, but you gain on reliability and integration.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I must admit, it's always a bit of a drama when a new battery comes out and you go, what does it work with? Or currently just this inverter, but we plan to add more. None of those problems with the self-managed battery.
And a lot of the off-grid guys, they've been doing lead-acid batteries for years, so we don't change what they're already doing.
Yeah.
We're adding to it because we add the efficiency or the cycle life or the temperature tolerance. So we're adding to what they already know rather than making them change and do something differently.
Right, cool. Well, thanks for talking to us about Power Plus Energy, and look, I'm really excited that this is really Australian made. You've got the legit logo as well somewhere on your products.
Oh yes, we other than having to import the lithium cells, everything that we do, we use Australian-made components. So the metalwork, the labelling, the packaging, even the cables made in Victoria. So we do as much as we can. We support Australian industry.
I think even your staff are Australian made.
Well, yes, we
Most of them.
most of them. All the accepted imports. Like our salesman, Craig Hunter, he's a pommy, but
Yeah.
we let him come in the door occasionally.
When he doesn't break something, yeah. Thanks a lot, Bradley.
Thanks, Steve.
Cool.
Well, that was Bradley. He's a great talker, a great character in the industry, and been around a very long time. In fact, well longer than Power Plus Energy have been in business. He's been doing things with batteries and inverters for decades, and it's great to see that it's now taken to a much bigger level. So well done, Power Plus Energy. Yeah, so I'm having a great little chat here through some of you. If you don't know, you can actually type in the comment field and I can see the questions come up. In some fields, I can, or some of the endpoints like YouTube, it's two ways, so I can actually reply to you live. Others, I can only read it. Depends a little bit on which platform you're viewing this on, because I'm actually streaming this to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube all at the same time to multiple channels. That's a good way to get it out there to a larger audience. Also, this is available after this event is finished. You'll be able to watch it again, so it doesn't go away. Apologies for the little hiccup at the very beginning of the show today where I forgot to turn the sound on. It is a little bit challenging operating all these buttons. Anyway, so next up. Okay, we've got a new hybrid inverter from a company that's been around for a while called Soul Planet. Now, Soul Planet actually, AceWise is the parent company. They formerly made Zeva Solar inverters, so they're kind of connected to, were connected to SMA in terms of their parallel brand Zeva Solar. So they're very experienced in the manufacture of inverters, and they've brought out their own hybrid inverter, which actually won the Red Dot Award for the best new hybrid inverter. So I'm going to just switch over to, hang on, I've got to do this properly. I've just got to start the stream for that one, to Soul Planet coming from the Smart Energy Expo. So here we go.
Well, here we are at the Smart Energy Expo 2021 at the Soul Planet stand, and there's an exciting new inverter, a hybrid inverter from Soul Planet. So, Ian, tell us about this inverter. What are its key features?
Our hybrid inverters has built-in DC switches, has built-in Wi-Fi, so you need only to plug and play this antenna onto it. And we have SunClicks connectors, which is, I think, more convenient to install when you compare with MC4. And also we are compatible with low voltage batteries like Pylon, and we're going to be compatible with other tier 1 batteries in the future. And our own brand battery is coming out, I think, in Q4 this year. Yeah. And also we have all-in-one app, so we are screenless design, and everything like commissioning, monitoring is in our app. So yeah, like that.
So it's a hybrid inverter. How much power can it put out?
This one has 3 to 5. So we have 3, 6, 8, 0, and 4 and 5 kilowatts. So like that. Yeah.
Does it have a backup functionality?
Yes, we have EPS functions. It generates 2.5 kilowatts when the grid is outage. Yeah.
Is that built in?
Yes, it's built in.
So really everything's in the box?
Yes, well, you don't have to open the lid.
Don't have to open the lid? Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So does it have more than one MPPT?
It has 2 MPPTs. So basically you can have 2 like panels facing 2 orientations. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So it's 5 kilowatt hybrid inverter with 2.5 kilowatts of backup capability. Works with Pylontech batteries and others, which you're getting integration with at the moment.
Yes,
and you'll have your own battery soon as well.
Yeah.
I must admit, the colour, I love it. Yeah. I mean, I'm a bit over white. I can tell you, I'm a bit over white inverters.
Yeah.
They're everywhere, and it's a neutral kind of blue-grey.
Yes.
These things don't get engineers excited; they get customers excited, and that's ultimately who buys these things.
Yeah, and this design has won the Red Dot winner prize. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Recently, yeah, so.
Well, thanks, Ian. I've really enjoyed learning about the Soul Planet hybrid inverter.
Thank you.
Great.
Whoops, forgot to turn the audio back on again. You're muted, Glenn. That was Ian Wu from Solar Planet, and he was just telling us about their new hybrid inverter, the Red Dot winner. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. It's a low voltage or 48 volt nominal inverter by the look of it, which, these days they're getting rarer. I'm seeing a big trend towards high voltage inverters, but there's certainly plenty of applications for your low voltage inverters and using technologies that don't require sophisticated management from a BMS. Okay, we've got 2 more to go, and next up is a company who's been making microinverters for over a decade. In fact, they're probably the most mature microinverter company in the world at the moment. That's Enphase. Now, Enphase have partnered with SunPower and produced a pretty amazing joint product, basically an AC solar panel, i.e. it doesn't have any DC outputs, it just has the output from the microinverter. And so you get the benefit of one of the highest efficiency panels on the market, SunPower, with one of the most reputable and reliable microinverter systems from Enphase. So let's have a look at that. So I'm just going to do my thing where I start streaming it. If you're wondering how I'm doing this, I've got several computers in front of me, and I'm actually using my Mac to stream it to my Apple TV, which then sends it to my ATEM Mini, which then sends an RMTP stream out to Restream.io, which then sends it to you. It's complicated. So let's see how we go now.
Well, here we are at the Smart Energy Expo 2021, and I'm at the Enphase stand with Duncan. And Duncan, what are we looking at here?
So, Glenn, this is a Maxion solar panel called the Max 5 from SunPower, and what it is an integrated microinverter manufactured by SunPower, who install and add the microinverter onto the module. You'll notice that the junction box on the back of the module has been shifted to the left, and the microinverter sits in the center, and there's a short DC cable connecting directly into the microinverter, so factory assembled.
Right, so you've really got one warranty that covers the whole product.
Yeah, one warranty, and in fact the panel warranty is 25 years as well as the microinverter warranty. Yeah, so same warranty length for the product.
Now this is quite a big panel. What sort of power ratings do they come in?
So there are a range. There are 3 products that are in Australia, as I understand. There's a 405 watt, 410 watt, and a 415 watt, and they're all connected to the same microinverter model, which is the IQ7A with a 349 VA output.
So the dimensions of this look slightly wider than your standard sort of panel, but not so long, which is always good for your standard resi roofs.
Yeah, and I haven't measured it from memory. It's around 1100 mil or 1140, I think.
Right.
So the width of it is a bit wider than your typical 72 cell module. Yeah.
So as with any microinverter system, you have trunking cables that connect them all together in parallel?
Yes, so you still need, of course, Enphase balance of system to connect each microinverter to the panel. And that's the Q cable. There's a single phase and also a 3-phase product that we supply.
Yeah, I will remember the 3-phase because of the IC colours,
yes.
And my electrician forgot that black isn't always neutral. That's a good lesson to learn.
Yes. So blue is always neutral.
That's right.
Remember that. That's the golden rule with Enphase wiring.
He must have thought there was a spare neutral in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So this is a very compact solution, so that it's pre-mounted, so you don't have to find a home to mount it on or attach it to the module. The trunking system is designed as plug and play. You've got the brilliance of MLPE, which every panel is independent of every other panel, and you're doing quite large power modules now, so 400 watts plus.
Yeah. And it's a great rate. It's a great design having a high-powered microinverter with an equally well-sized panel to go with it. And the pairing we're getting good feedback about it. One of the the interesting things about the microinverter on the back of the panel is the way that it's designed. So one of the challenges is the logistics logistics of getting panels to the installer on pallets. They don't want to reduce the number of panels on the pallet because the microinverter must sit away from the panel when it's installed. So the cradle that's mounted to actually has a release clip that allows you to pull the microinverter away from the panel.
That's clever.
Yeah. So that means that when we flat pack them, we can get more modules on the pallet.
Yep.
And then when you're on site, you just pull the microinverter off, it just releases, and that allows you to actually access the AC socket to then begin your connection.
Right. Idiot-proof, really. So you actually have to release it to get to the AC socket.
So we force the installer's hand. You have to pull it back out of the module. Just clicks into position, and then you put the AC connection straight in. Yeah.
Wow, I'm impressed. And these legendary SunPower efficiency too.
Yes.
So you've got the best of the best.
Yeah. It's a great product. It seems like people really like it.
Cool. Thanks, Duncan.
Yeah. Thanks, Glenn.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Well, that was Duncan from Enphase and talking about the new combo with SunPower, their high-powered modules, 400 watts to 430, I think it was, with the Enphase microinverters. Interesting, the microinverters are rated at 349 VA. You might wonder why it's such a specific number. It's actually to do with the Australian standard 5033, which limits the maximum power to less than 350 watts at standard test conditions for microinverters. But as many of you will know, when I talked about the draft 5033 a few weeks ago, all these things have been revised. So the draft is now the public comment phase, or the first public comment phase, hopefully the last and only one, has closed, and we will be going back to those comments in committee and reviewing them. So there's a good chance we'll have a new 5033 this year, possibly, if all goes well, and some of the limitations that are in the current version of 5033 will disappear because really it needs an update. It's been like 7 years. It really needs an update. Anyway, last up is Gen Z. Now, another Australian company, Gen Z, based in Perth, WA. I've had a bit to do with Gen Z. I've been to their factory, seen their facility. They've been making communication cabinets and batteries and solar-powered comms modules for mining sites and other remote areas for a long time. So they've decided to start making their own batteries a while back, and these are now available broadly on the Australian market. So Gen Z not only make complete finished products, but they also make battery modules. So let me just get this one geared up. So this is the Gen Z battery. They make a range of sizes from 12 volt, 24, 48. They do rack mount, and also your sort of conventional automotive sized battery in different amp hour and voltage ranges. So let me just start this one up.
Well, here at the Smart Energy Expo 2021 at the Gen Z stand, and I'm here with Dennis in front of this inverter and battery system. So, Dennis, do you make inverters?
No, we don't make inverters. This is Electronics, one of our closest development partners.
And what do you make?
We make batteries.
That was a bit of a Dorothy Dix from me. Yeah, of course I knew you made batteries because I've got some at my lab and I've had them for a long time.
You do?
I think I did one of the first putting two different technologies together. I had an Occult and a Gen Z system, and what I learned there was that lithium batteries rock over lead. They're just high performance. In fact, pairing the two together meant I could get really great discharge rates out of an old system. So lithium batteries, that's all you do?
We do lithium batteries. Everything is an LFP battery, and we concentrate on the rack mount and also some of the plastic case batteries.
Right, so the rack mount modular batteries, what sort of sizes do they come in?
We got 2 kilowatt and 3 kilowatt. We have them both in 48 volts and 24 volts.
So are they 3 kilowatts of power and 3 kilowatt hours of storage?
There are 3 kilowatt hours of storage.
Yep.
And they, in terms of the voltage, it's 48 volts, 24 volts.
Now, do they work with one particular inverter, like Cellectronic, or can you work with others?
No, that's the beauty. They all have internal BMSs, so they actually work with any inverter that's out there. Traditionally, we recommend the Cellectronics because we have a drop-down menu in the Cellectronics that you see the 3 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt battery. You put in the number of batteries and basically about 3 or 4 settings, and you're way to go. It's already preset with our set points in there.
So, because I understand these batteries quite well, these are a self-managed battery. You don't need a communication data cable that talks to the inverter. You just connect them with plus and minus, and the internal BMS looks after safety and performance.
You're absolutely correct. The only connection we actually have in these particular models is the positive and negative.
Right, that's pretty simple. And they're modular, so I guess you could start with 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 and then add more later on.
We have many customers that start off with 2 or 3 batteries. In fact, some of the micro houses only have 1 battery, and they graduate to where they want to be. So yeah, that is certainly one of the unique selling points of the battery.
Actually, one of my applications for Gen Z at the lab was we've got a tiny house with someone living in it.
Correct.
And they had a rather terrible lead acid system. It was new, but it really faded quickly. It was one of those, truck batteries sold as deep cycle. And so what we did, we paralleled first 1, then 2 Gen Zs with it. Sweet. The lead acid has been put out to pasture. It's still there, still parallel, but doing virtually nothing, and the Gen Zs take over. So I was pretty excited by being able to extend the life of an existing lead acid system.
Yeah, well, we actually tell people this is a lead acid replacement. It's a full lead acid replacement, and that's the whole idea of not having the communication layer on there. People swap them out and put them in, whether it's your boat, your car, you can take a lead acid out and put it in. The only difference is the charging parameters. You may have to change your charger.
Yeah, slightly different maximum voltage, minimum voltage. Usual story of any batteries basically is find out what the charging parameters are and make them happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Dennis.
That's great.
Okay.
Thanks for coming by.
No worries.
Cheers.
Right. Well, that was the last of the sneak peek of some of the exhibitors from the Smart Energy Expo run by the Smart Energy Council in Sydney last week. Really excited to be there. My company, Solar Plus, were exhibiting there. We actually make solar design software. If you're interested in that, it's a solar CRM and design package, solarplus.co. And we've been in the business making up to version 4 now for 8 years. So pretty mature product in the market. So thanks everyone for turning up for Toolbox Tech Talk. And if you want to see more of these interviews that I made at the Smart Energy Expo, just go to YouTube, search for Smart Energy Lab, and you'll find another dozen being uploaded. In fact, I'm still uploading them today. So yeah, you can catch up on lots of cool and exciting stuff that was at the conference. So thanks for everyone for all your comments and feedback, and particularly Kyle. Kyle, you've been really vociferous, so it's great to have such interactive audiences as you. So thanks a lot, everyone. Otherwise, I'll see you next Sunday on Toolbox Tech Talk, 2 p.m. Let's see what's going to happen then. I don't know. All right. And we're out.